Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to our annual Eitaikyo service. Reverend Marvin Harada intended to be our Eitaikyo guest speaker today, but he will not be joining us this morning. I regret that the final decision that the Bishop, Reverend Marvin, and Reverend Kyo made last Wednesday after meeting with our President-elect Gordon Nita and our board member Alan Wu, their final decision was to not allow Sensei Calvin to participate in Tokudo in 2 weeks. Knowing how we all feel, I called and asked Reverend Marvin to consider not being our speaker today. He really wanted to come, and Reverend Marvin even offered to have a town hall-like meeting to explain to our Sangha and defend his decision. But I felt with the decision being final, any attempt to explain or justify that decision would not be conducive to the harmony of our Sangha and our temple. So I want you to know that Reverend Marvin not being here today was my decision, and it was my call to end the discussion with BCA and just try to move forward. So, good morning, everyone. And, you know, it really is my pleasure to be here as your guest speaker today. Being here at the Betsuin with all of you is like being home. And it always feels so good to be surrounded by so many Dharma friends and Dharma families. Today, as we mentioned a few times, we are observing our annual Eitaikyo service. Eitaikyo literally means, let me break it down for you. A is the Chinese character, Japanese character for perpetual or forever. Tai is the character for generations. And Kyo is the Dharma, or the teachings, or sutras. So Eitaikyo means generation after generation, forever sharing the Dharma. Generation after generations, forever sharing the Dharma. And for over 2,600 years, the Dharma has been handed down generation after generation, so that we are today able to enjoy the Dharma here in Sacramento. So Eitaikyo is also, in a way, our service remembering and appreciating the karmic roots of our temple and our Dharma tradition, remembering the countless people, all of the causes and conditions, all of the things that had to happen that allow our Dharma tradition to be alive today. And when I think about it, truly many thousands of people have helped to establish and maintain our temple, this Sacramento Betsuin, for over the past 115 years. So in a way, this service allows us to reflect on our beginnings. This service, Eitaikyo, allows us to reflect on our beginnings. For in reflecting on the long history of Buddhism and in remembering how our temples came to be, we remember again to appreciate all that we have today. In Buddhism, we are taught that every moment is a new beginning, and every moment is also an ending. Every moment is new. This moment right now is born from all the events and all that has happened in the past. And often we do celebrate new beginnings, New Year's, birthdays, anniversaries. Just yesterday, I officiated a new beginning with the wedding of John Willett and Erica Shima. But I think most times we do not realize we are part of something new that is starting. Just about everything at some point in time, it began as a new idea. Just about everything. The idea that that started out was new and it proved to be a good idea. A need might have been fulfilled, or maybe we just appreciated and enjoyed the event or the activity, and suddenly a tradition is born. A good idea that continues to be enjoyed and appreciated often just naturally grows and blossoms into becoming a tradition. Have you ever thought about how things began? Often it really is as simple as just a new idea that caught on and became popular. How about a bride wearing a white wedding dress on the wedding day? Somewhere in time, it was a new idea. A bride wore white and folks said, "Hey, that's pretty nice. That looks good. I think we're onto something here. This could work." Here's a new beginning that I looked up. The year was 1762. The country, England. A wealthy nobleman, John Montague, was doing what he enjoyed doing the most. He loved to gamble. He would sometimes do this for days. Do any of you know someone who might like to gamble? Maybe go to Vegas or the Indian casinos, Perhaps they're there right this moment. But John Montague loved to gamble. It is said that he only stopped for breaks of necessity, like eating. But one day, he was so engrossed in the game of cards, and yet at the same time he was really hungry, so he didn't want to stop. And so he called one of the servants over, and he said to him, and this is a quote from what I looked up, he said, "Bring me 2 thick slices of roasted beef between 2 slices of toasted bread." This nobleman, John Montague, was the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Yeah. What he ordered as a convenient and easy-to-eat meal caught on. And 8 years later, in 1770, sandwich became a documented word in the English dictionary describing this meal of meat between 2 slices of bread. Can you imagine? After he ate that first sandwich, some other folks said, they probably said, "Hey, I'll have whatever the Earl of Sandwich is having there." And weeks later, folks might have still been saying, "Yeah, give me what Sandwich had over there." And voila, first fast food. What if it was the Earl of Bob that first ordered that meal of meat between 2 slices of bread? Then today, we'd be going to restaurants and saying, "I'll have a hot roast beef Bob." There might be a chain of eateries called Subway Bob's. But again, see, it was just a new idea that just caught on and became popular. Even one of my 2 favorite sports, basketball, began as a new idea somewhere in time. In 1891, Dr. James Naismith was a teacher and a a gym teacher. He was a teacher and physical education teacher, and it was at a school that would become the Springfield College in Massachusetts. He was wondering how to create an activity that his students could enjoy indoors during those cold winters in the Northeast. So he nailed a peach basket to the wall of a large exercise room, one on each end. Then he set up 2 teams to play each other. The goal was to try to toss the ball through the peach basket. Can you imagine his first teams, listening? And he wrote 13 rules for this game, and he posted them so that they could, on the gym wall. And can you imagine those first kids looking at that saying, "Excuse me, Dr. Naismith, you want us to do what? Toss the ball through these peach baskets? Oh, this will never catch on. Hey, you want to play some peach basket, But look at it today. Think about it. All things Almost everything began somewhere and at some time as a new idea. An idea that caught on, became popular, and a tradition began. As I mentioned, he wrote up these original 13 rules for the new game that was called basketball. It was 2 words, basketball. And I just read that 2 days ago, those handwritten rules of Dr. Naismith just sold at auction at Sotheby's in New York for over $4 million. Wow. Well, as much as I love basketball, today we are talking about Eitaikyo. And I'm reflecting on traditions, on new beginnings, and how they have been kept alive for us to enjoy today. As I mentioned earlier, Eitaikyo is our service remembering and appreciating the karmic roots of our temple, remembering the countless people who have kept our Dharma tradition alive, and the thousands of people who have helped to establish and maintain our Sacramento Betsuin for over the past 115 years. This beautiful temple here in Sacramento, to have this beautiful hondo here, this was at one time a new idea. It was a dream. It was a hope of many people who have come before us to someday have a temple here in Sacramento. And it was a dream of so many thousands more over the past century to maintain this tradition here. In the mid-1800s, the first Japanese immigrants came in search of a dream in this new country. At that time, the United States was less than 100 years old. The idea of a country governed by the people themselves was also a new idea. More immigrants from Japan followed, and although most did not intend to make America their home, they found that as the years passed, they were here to stay. The Mother Temple in Kyoto, Japan was petitioned by these settlers from Japan to send ministers here to teach the Dharma. 2 ministers came and they traveled around to the immigrant communities, and they finally recommended that they should begin to build temples here in America. It was a good idea, a new idea. And in 1899, this Sacramento Betsuin became the second Buddhist temple established in the mainland of the United States. The first was founded 1 year earlier in 1898 in San Francisco. Over the years, like the Issei, Nisei, and Kibei generations, our temple survived through the Depression, through the wars, through the relocation. Over the years, some have moved and been rebuilt to different places, but the Buddha Dharma has continued to grow in the soil of a new land. Eitaikyo is a special service to remember those whose efforts and generosity allow us to be here today. And Eitaikyo is also our deep and quiet feeling of arigato, our saying thank you, as we remember and appreciate the lives of so many whose efforts and sacrifices have nurtured and sustained our temple for over the past 115 years. Each one of us, we are all caretakers of our temple. We are all students of the Dharma, ones who share our teaching and live with the Dharma. And 50, 100, 150 years from today, it is my hope that our lives too will be quietly appreciated at an Eitaikyo service here in Sacramento for the care that we've given to share the Dharma and maintain the Betsuin here. So as we remember our past caretakers, think again upon the traditions we enjoy, how they began, and how they have been able to grow over the years because of the efforts and sacrifices of so many. With that, I'd like to thank you for coming to our Eitaikyo service today. As as I mentioned, I am honored to be your guest speaker. In closing, please join me in Gassho. Each one of us, we are all caretakers of our temple. And 50, 100, 150 years from today, it is my hope that our lives will be quietly appreciated at Eitaikyo services. We will be appreciated for the care we've given to share the Dharma and maintain our Sacramento Betsuing. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.